How's it going, everybody? It's good to be back. It's been a very long time, but I've been busy. Something that's very exciting that's coming up soon, something I look forward to a lot, and I know a lot of people look forward to, is Formula One testing. And that's right, it's 1 week away, which means I have midterms coming up, which means I probably shouldn't be making this video, but Formula One is back. It should be a really good season. I think it's going to be one of the better seasons of the past 10 years. Maybe not 10 years, maybe 6 or 7 years. We'll see what happens. Last season was really good, so hopefully this is a continuation of last year's battle. Let's talk about it. Let's go from the top to the bottom. Just kind of going through how we think everybody's going to do this year. And I think it's going to surprise you, hopefully a little bit. Hopefully I'm not jumping on the bandwagon thinking what I think about the teams that I think are going to perform and where they're going to line up this year. So Mercedes, they've been dominant for the last 14 years. Holy shit. Been dominant since 2014. Haven't lost a driver's championship or a constructor's championship. Split between Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. Even though he hasn't been in the sport for 5 years, he is the last non-Lewis Hamilton driver's champion. That's a weird thought to have. I'm not the first person to say this. Obviously won't be the last. But check it out. Mercedes this year is a continuation of last year's car, like everybody else. Except last year's car they stopped developing by the end, the very last race in Abu Dhabi. Red Bull caught up with them. They beat them for the first time, I don't remember in how long. What that says to me, as I'm sure it says to you, Mercedes isn't developing their car much further, if at all further. So whatever they come out with, I'm guessing it's only going to get better maybe once, maybe twice over the course of the season, and then they're going to be completely open to any contest. I think that they're going to actually have a really hard time holding on to the constructors this year. It's a really bold statement, but I really don't think that their focus obviously isn't on this year. It's to 2022, new regs and everything. Obviously, they're not going to be focused on this year's car. They're going to build it as best as they possibly can, I think. Obviously, in the beginning of the season, they're going to build it the best they can, kind of do one or two things and then stop. I don't think that whatever they introduce is going to be enough to bring them to the end of the season completely uncontested. Do I think that Lewis will win the 8th title? It's going to be really close. I think that it's going to be really, really close. And I don't know if they're going to be good enough to hold on to the constructors. I think, and this is really bold, I think that Red Bull and Aston Martin are going to be right on the heels of Mercedes basically throughout the season. I think it's going to get way closer. Red Bull has a new lineup for this year with Sergio Perez, and I think that he's going to do pretty well. I think that he'll be probably, I don't know, what was Alex? I really liked Alex. I think that yeah, Sergio deserves a seat. I think that he can do really well. I think that he'll be really close to Max. I don't know if he will be ahead of him. I think the only reason that he would be ahead is because he's a little bit more consistent. I still think, even though Max has done really well over the past 2 years, maturing, I think that he's still too trigger happy. I think that he jumps at situations too much to where it puts him in danger, or he had so many DNFs last season. He lost the second place driver in the driver standings. I think he still has a little growing up to do. He's still really young. He's got a lot of seasons under his belt. Obviously, I think that he will be a world champion at some point in time. Do I think that he can be a world champion this year? Possibly. Do I think that Sergio could be a world champion this year? Depends. It depends. I don't know. It depends how reliable he is, how consistently he drives. He's very solid. We all know that he's very solid. And it obviously showed in the Sakir Grand Prix. He's a very good driver. He's able to come from the back to the front. I think that he has a really good shot at being up there in probably 3rd, if not 4th, depending upon how Mercedes' car develops and how they continue to develop it over time. I think that he could probably be third or fourth in the driver's standings. He's really, really good. He's really, really consistent, and that's really important to Red Bull right now because coming off of last year, they didn't have someone to put the pressure on Lewis at all, or Valtteri. No one had pressure up there, so they kind of only had to focus and beat up Max. As long as they pinned Max into a corner, he was fine. They won 2 all the time. So if Sergio can put on the pressure, I think that Max can win the World Drivers' Championship, and I think that Sergio could come in third. It's very possible, and I'm pretty excited for this. McLaren, my team, my favorite team, I think that they have a really decent shot this year in coming third again in the Constructors' Championship, if not fourth. They're going to be under massive pressure. They're going to be under massive pressure with Alpine and Aston Martin, both completely rebadged, rebranded. They're both going to be right on the heels of McLaren. McLaren is in a great position this year to hit that third spot in the Constructors' Championship. And I know I've said that about the other teams I've already talked about. I know I've said that, but it's true. I think that it's going to be really, really competitive this year. It's going to be really interesting to watch because Danny Rick, I think, is one of the best drivers on the grid. I think that he's massively, not underrated, he's massively rated. And I think that he deserves all the ratings he gets because he's one of the best. He was able to compete with Max and beat him on many days. That being said, this was many years ago. Max has progressed a lot since then. I'll give the credit to that. But Danny Rick is good. McLaren has a really good package this year with the Mercedes engine. They seem to be really confident in how they were able to translate last year's chassis to this engine. And I think that's going to be a really good thing. I think that confidence and the optimism going forward is going to really play a huge difference in how that team unfolds and continues to progress their season. I think that they have a really, really good shot this year at challenging for podiums. I don't know if they're going to be able to get a win. I think maybe 1, maybe 2, depending upon how the teams in front of them place out. Just depends on the circumstances. Obviously, it's motorsport. It's unpredictable, and here I am making a predictions video. Next up is Aston Martin. Aston Martin, formerly known as Racing Point, formerly known as Force India. I think that they have a really good shot at the third place as well. I don't think that they're going to be able to get number 2. It depends. Sebastian Vettel just got over to Aston Martin from Ferrari. Everybody knows. Everybody's talked about it. I see a lot of people in comment sections quoting Martin Brundle being like, "Oh, it's going to be a really." I can't even do Martin Brundle. I'm not gonna insult him. That is going to be really messy divorce for that team, and of course it was Sebastian having the worst season of his career. I think he's going to be more motivated than ever to get out there and prove what he's really worth. If we watch the launch video for Aston Martin, he said he's here to win and he's here to prove everybody wrong. I think that's great. I think Sebastian's one of the best drivers on the grid as well. That Ferrari, that package never worked out for him. I think that he needs more rear downforce. He does not work well with cars that are more pointy. He loses the rear end too easy, and that's okay because that's his driving style. We saw it with Alex and Max's car last year. The car was terrible. Not that it was a horrible car. It was just developed for one driver. When you're doing a team sport, this is not really the best. I think that that Aston Martin package has any kind of rear downforce. I think that he'll do well. I think that he'll do really, really well. Will he outscore Lance? Lance is coming off the back of a really good year himself. If he hadn't missed so many races, he was out of 3 and he DNF'd a couple more. I think that he had a really great season. I think that, will he beat Lance? It's going to be really close. It's going to be really, really tight, and I don't know if he will or not. I think that he's going to be, like I said, right there. If he beats him, he's only going to beat him by a little bit. I think that says a lot for Lance. To be able to keep up with a 4-time world champion, no matter how old they are now, I think that's a great achievement. I would do it if I could. Will we see a pole position from Lance again? I think so. I think there's a decent chance, given the conditions that we have, because who knows, Lance could strike another pole position. I think also Seb can too. So I'm excited for that. Let's see what happens. I don't know what will happen, obviously, but let's look to the future for what Aston Martin has to bring to the table. Alpine, well, I'm not the biggest Fernando Alonso fan. I put my hands up right now and say I don't, not that he's overrated. He's a great driver. He can drag a car around a track. I will admit that. I don't like him because he's not a very team-oriented person, is he? He's not very good at motivating the team to do better. He's negative reinforcement, and that works for some, but I don't know if it works in the sport. I mean, we've seen, it's so difficult. I mean, looking back in his McLaren years, obviously, it was horrible. Not that the car wasn't mostly to blame for it, but the way that he did nothing to support and boost morale, I don't know. It depends. The car last year was good. The car last year was really solid. Will he have a fight with Esteban Ocon? I'm American. I can't. I don't have the accent for this name. Will he have the fight with Esteban? You know, I don't know where he'll stack up, honestly. He's been out of the sport for, what, 2 years now, I think. This is, coming back on the 3rd year. He's been out of the sport for 2 years. I think that he's going to have his work cut out for him a little bit. I think that he has to come back and, prove why he's back and, that he deserves to be there. Not to say that, two world championships is a little, scuff on the name. Will he be able to, bring that team forward to get the podiums, to get the win that they haven't had forever? Will he be able to support that team to bolster his wish for one more world championship? I don't know. That is a team I think that will either do really, really well this year or terribly, based off of morale alone. I think that they're going to go for probably 5th in the standings. And if this video ages poorly and they place 2nd place, great. I think that's really funny. I don't think it's going to happen though. I think it's going to be really tough and really, really tight for them this year, and they may have their work cut out for him. Esteban himself, he doesn't have that team support. He does so much complaining and his morale itself is not great. There's plenty of times that I remember last season I go, wow, his team really does not vibe with him at all. And that's a shame because he's a good driver. He's great in the rain. We saw that at Spa, 2016, 17? He's a great driver. But I don't know if that team is behind him. I feel like he gives off the aura of, I'm a Mercedes reserve driver, or like I was a Mercedes boy. I don't know if he's there for Renault. Obviously there is employers, but I don't know if he has that team spirit. That and Fernando, I don't know how well that team is going to do this year. I think that they're going to kind of struggle a little bit, especially with especially with Cyril leaving. I think that they're going to have their work cut out for them a little bit. I think it's a lot of rebuilding. I think that they're going to be really great in 2022. I don't know how they're going to do this year. I think their focus is going to be towards the future. AlphaTauri, Tori, whatever you want to call them, AlphaTauri, how are they going to do this year? They have Yuki Tsunoda now. They have Pierre Gasly again. Pierre is great. I think Pierre really showed his worth last year. He was up in that midfield all the time, fighting for places, putting in a lot of great moves. Stuff that I think that actually came out this year that he didn't have beforehand. At Red Bull, he never showed any sort of... I didn't think he was all that great at Red Bull. Obviously, they didn't think so either. They brought in Alex, who did all right. The team obviously love him. He's brought them a win and 2 podiums, a 1 and a 2. You can't really ask for anything more from a midfield unit. I think that he's going to be great this year. I think that he's going to be up there kind of fighting for 5th, maybe 4th in the driver's standings. No, actually, I'm not going to say that. I think that they're going to be up there in the 4th to 5th in terms of constructors. For Red Bull to have 2 of their teams in the top 5, I think is pretty great for them. So they'll be happy about that. Yuki Tsunoda, he did incredible in his F2 campaign. He did fantastic. I got into F2 this year, and I watched Yuki Tsunoda. I think he's a great driver. I think he puts in a lot of really brave moves, a lot of great moves that I think Red Bull really like to see. He made a lot of good passes, a lot of late lunges. I think that he's got a great shot at bringing that team a lot of spunk and a lot of morale. I think he's going to be really good. I hope to see them do really well this year because I like the drivers both a lot. I think they both have a ton of potential, and they're really shaping out to be a really fit unit. HAAS F1 team, how are they going to do this year? Well, with an all-new rookie lineup with Nikita Mazepin and Mick Schumacher, they're going to have their work cut out for them. I think especially for them who, focus so heavily on Ferrari parts. They're a customer team to the nth degree. I think that they're going to struggle a little bit this year. I think that they're going to have their work cut out for them. They have 2 new drivers. Nikita Mazepin, yeah, I mean, everything that's to be said about Nikita has already been said. I don't think that he's that great a driver. I think that he races really dirty. I mean, watching F2, like I said, last year, it's this is how I feel about Nikita Mazepin. Because it's so hard to even say, like, oh, this is the really great move he made at Spa or whatever. Because it's so tough. Everything, he races aggressively. I will give him that. He races very, very aggressively. Is that going to be entertaining to watch? Yes. Is that going to be safe to watch? I don't want him, obviously, to put the drivers in any danger. I think that he's a hothead. I think that he has a really bad attitude. I think that he's just a rich daddy's boy. This has all been said. I'm not saying anything original here. But Mick Schumacher, on the other hand, is going to be good for development in terms of developing the car, developing the team, as a unit. I get messages from HAAS F1 team all the time on LinkedIn saying that they're looking for this and they're looking for that. The entire team is new this year. I think that's a good thing. I don't know if it's going to be productive. This year I think they're going to struggle a lot, considering they don't have that many sponsors. I don't know how that's going to shake out for them. I like them. I want them to do well. They're the underdogs. They're the little guys. I don't want them to get stepped on. I like Mick. I like Mick Schumacher. I think he made a lot of good moves. He's a very solid racer. But he takes time to break into his new car. He did with F2. He did with F3 before that. I think it's going to be a very quiet year for them. I honestly forgot about them a little bit. Even though I'm American, they're the only American team. They're going to have a hard time. I want them to do great, but I don't know if they will. Alfa Romeo's lineup hasn't changed for 3 years. Their last season wasn't fantastic because Ferrari's engine wasn't fantastic. I don't know about their chassis, their aero. As the season kicked on a little bit longer, towards the end, they were doing better. But I don't think that they're going to be anything competitive this year. I don't know if they're going to score out of the top 7. I think it's going to be really a fight between, HAAS, Alfa Romeo, and Williams. I think that they're going to have their work cut out for them. Kimi had a couple really good races last year, but I think it's time for him to leave. I really like Kimi Räikkönen. I think his best days were with McLaren. Long time ago. He was really hot then. He was really good. He was like his performances were hot. I think he was a really good driver then. He was obviously a good driver at Ferrari. But it's so hard to tell with Kimi because he's the Iceman. Like it's so difficult to pinpoint whether or not he has the ambition to do anything more than just to have fun, which is fine. But at the same time, there are a couple great racers coming up through the ranks in F2. It's maybe time to move. Same with Giovinazzi. He's good. He's good, but he's not standout. And I think to be in the sport and to be competitive, you have to be standout great. I think it would take a very specific amount of luck and circumstance for him to score a podium. I like the guy. He seems cool enough. I don't think that he's going to be very competitive. I think that they're a good package overall. I think they're great racers. But I don't know where they're going to score. I think that they're probably going to be in the 8th, 9th position, with HAAS being down at number 10, I think. Bold prediction, but let's see where that ends us. Williams is going to win the Constructors title. I'm fucking kidding. Williams is going to do better than they have done the past 2 seasons, I think. Their gap is closing. They are under new management, Gerolton Capital. Doritoton? I don't know. I think that they have a good shot this year. Not at winning anything, massive, but scoring consistent points. I think that they're on a great track. Nicholas Latifi, I think, had a couple great drives that went totally under the radar. I think that he's up there, he's fighting, he's new. I mean, his last season was his rookie season. I think that he was massively underrated last year. No one really talked about him, which is a real shame because he seems like a great guy. He seems like a cool dude. He seems like he's really humble. He's just happy to be there. And I think he's pretty decent. I think that he had a couple great drives. I think that he has, he's been pretty close to the points once or twice. I think that he's got a great shot this year. He can definitely score some points this year. George Russell, incredible driver, massively rated because, I mean, everybody saw the Sakir Grand Prix. He could have won, but motorsport is motorsport, and he got unlucky. I think George is obviously going to do great this year. I think that car is making the right strides. It's making the right steps. They have there's a newfound passion, I think, there at the team. Knowing that they have such a great driver, they can build around that driver to build a better car. Taking in that input from him, considering that he drove the Mercedes last year, he knows what it's supposed to feel like, where he feels like they're losing time. Having a driver that has driven the best car in the sport, going to the worst car in the sport, and I love you, Williams, but your car right now is not that great. I think that he can make incredible upgrades. I think that he can bring the knowledge to that team to develop that car even further, even if it's little tweaks. And I think that they have a really great shot next year. This year, I'm going to say they're probably going to get 8th. I think that they're going to beat HAAS. I think that they're going to beat Alfa Romeo. By how much, I'm not sure, but I think that it's going to be a really close battle this year. I think it's going to be really, really tight in 3 different sections. You have the front of the pack, the midfield, the back of the pack. I think that those fights are going to cross over a lot, and I think that it's going to be a really competitive season. Like I said, it really depends how far people develop their car, how long they develop their car for, and how much time they put into next year's car. Now, that being said, let's just go through one more time to kind of recap the thoughts and where I think everybody's going to finish in terms of constructors. Oh, I forgot about Ferrari. I have a Ferrari flag in my fucking office downstairs. Ferrari. Carlos is good. Carlos is really good. Charles is out of this planet, but even he couldn't drag that car around that much. He did really well in Turkey, but that's where everything about the car is diminished because it was so wet and so slippery. If they have more races like that, I think that they have a decent chance of scoring points consistently, but I don't know how many points they're going to score. Carlos is going into that team with something to prove because he's joining one of the most illustrious and most prestigious, Formula One teams that are out there. But where are they going to place? That to me is one of the most up in the air teams because it's like your power unit last year was so bad. It was so terrible because you were caught cheating and you had to undo everything, but at the same time you can't, develop your engine when you have to, kind of step back. They stepped from here back to here and then moved, what seemed to be backwards. First place in the Constructors title, Red Bull. I just think they're going to have the itty bit of momentum from last year, winning the Abu Dhabi race. I think that says a lot about where their car was at the end of the year and where it's going to be when the season starts again. I think that they are going to be just a little bit to be able to beat Mercedes in the Constructors title. Second place in the Constructors, Mercedes. I don't think they're going to put a lot of time into this car, which is okay because their 2022 Challenger is going to be incredibly difficult to beat. I think they're going to come in number 2. I don't think they're going to develop it too far, and I think that it's going to hurt them this season, benefit them incredibly next season. This is where it gets tough. This is where it really breaks down. Third place in the Constructors, McLaren. I have to go with McLaren just because I like them. I like McLaren a lot, and I really want them to do well. I think that the drivers that they have this year are really great. Lando did amazing last year. He showed a lot of gumption. Showed a lot of gumption and gusto. He knows how to put in a good lap time. He is obviously maturing a lot. This is going to be his 3rd season in. Danny Rick's going to be in for, his 10th season or something like that, 11th season. It's going to be really competitive this year for them. I think they're going to do really, really well. I think that Danny Rick's input is going to be really good in terms of development. I think they're going to get 3rd. I think they're going to be 3rd, but really close behind him. And I mean really close. I think most of these races are going to come down to the last race or second to last race for the Constructors standings. 4th in Constructors, Aston Martin. I think that they have a great drivers lineup. I think that they have a really good understanding of their car that they're working with this year. Otmar Safnauer He's good. He's really good. He knows how to lead the team. I think he's kind of goofy, but I got to give him credit. He knows how to lead his team. He's very confident in what he does. I think that they can go fourth and be really, really close with McLaren for third. Fifth in constructors, AlphaTauri. I got to go with AlphaTauri for number 4. I think that their driver lineup is so good this year. I think that they're, it's kind of cheating to predict where they're going to end this year because we understood what they did last year, and this year's cars are just evolutions of it, and they're not really new. I gotta say that they're going to do really well. I think that they know how to capitalize. They know how to capitalize on a situation very, very well, and if something happens in the race to even give them a slight in as to do better, score more points, I think they will. I think they're going to be really consistent point scorers. I think that they're going to be really, really at the neck and at the throat of Alpine to where they can probably pass them just by a little bit. 6th in the Constructors title, Alpine. Like I said, the driver lineup is good, but it's tumultuous. I think that the morale of that team is going to be all over the place. Fernando was like, oh yeah, as soon as we can start developing 2022's car, let's get on that right away. I mean, he wasn't even driving for the team. He wasn't even hired by the team whenever he was saying that. I don't think that they're going to do that great this year. I think that they're going to do pretty decent considering their last year's car was good. It was enough to score 2 podiums, and Esteban got a second, right? He got second in Sakir. I think that it's going to be a rocky road for them. I think that they're going to do well because the car is really decent. It's just not a good lineup of drivers. It's good, but I think they're going to butt heads a lot, and I think they're going to be ultra competitive because Esteban's still trying to prove to Mercedes that he's worth it, and Fernando's going to still be proving why he's worth even being in the sport. It's just not going to go well for them this year, I don't think. 7th of the constructors' titles, Ferrari. Just because it's not going to make sense for them to develop much this year. I don't understand. If I was Mattia Binotto, I don't know what I would do because he's in a tight position where his team is spinning in circles. I don't know where else they would place. I don't think they'll beat Alpine. I don't think that they even have a shot at beating Aston. It's not going to happen. I think the drivers are great. I think the team is trash right now. They need a serious overhaul if they want to compete, which is the 2022 regs. I think that will be what they need to be able to get on the podium again. But until then, I don't think they're going to do very well. 8th in the constructors' titles, Williams. I think they'll do that because they're on a really good momentum. They have a lot of information to take in with George coming back from Mercedes for that one race. I think that they're going to be able to pull a lot of information from that. I think that they're going to continue to develop just a little bit longer because this is their shot. Everybody else stops developing and they keep going. They have a shot in moving up the driver standings. I think that they have a really good drivers lineup. I think that they're going to do very well in terms of keeping that car moving forward. They're on really good momentum right now. I think that their motivation's very high. I think that they're going to do pretty well this year. I think, like I said, I say I think because I don't know. I think they're going to do well. I think they're going to get pretty decent points hauls. I don't think that it's going to matter as much this year as it did last to rely on, luck and weird weather and all that sort of stuff. I think that they're able to fight a lot higher because last year they did. George came close to scoring points, 4 times? 5 times? I think they have a really good shot. And I think if Ferrari does as bad as I think they're going to do, they have a really decent shot at scoring points very consistently. 9th in the constructors' title, Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo's good. It's stagnant, though. I think that they don't have the momentum. I don't think that they have the real fighting spirit to be able to get higher than 9th. There's nothing in that team that hints to me, we want to do better, we're excited to move forward and to build on what we had last year. I just don't see it. Even the livery is similar. Obviously it's different, but it's similar. It's like an invert. I don't see them doing that great this year, so that's why I put them at 9th. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. 10th in the constructors' title, HAAS. HAAS is probably going to score 10th. I think I'm probably going to be right on that, and I'm not very happy about that because, like I said, I'm American. It's the only American team. I don't think they're going to do well. They have an all-rookie lineup. Their entire team is basically new. I think they're going to struggle. I think they're really going to struggle. I think that their morale is going to be very mixed. Nikita, I don't think he's going to bring a whole lot of positive morale. I think Mick will, but I don't know. I think they're going to score 10th. I think that's a pretty safe bet. They're just not going to do anything this year, I don't think. Next year, who knows? Who knows where, what Mick can bring to the table. He's really good in his second season. He's usually really, he's solid. He's F3. He won the title in his second season. F2. He won the title in the second season. Do I think he's going to win the title in 2022 for F1? I don't think so. But I think that it's going to take him a year to kind of get used to that. The new style of car, especially whatever they bring next year, new era of car even, I think they're going to score 10th. That's just how it is. Like I said, this is my first video on F1. I would like to be like a Formula 1 content creator. There's just not a lot of representation for the United States in Formula 1 content. I think that it'll be interesting to watch someone else's complete different perspective from the other side of the world, where the main sports that we have are American football and NASCAR. I don't watch either. Formula 1 is a little bit more my speed. So that's my predictions list. I'll leave it right here so you guys can just look at it, and so if we make a reaction video looking back, we can go, wow, we were wrong as shit. And that's okay, because that's what these videos are for, to laugh at in the future and to just see what's going to happen for this season. That being said, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I will hope to see you guys in the next one. Hopefully it'll be sooner than later. We'll do something maybe after testing, and we'll talk about it and see how everything looks like it'll shape out. That being said, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys again real soon.